My parents let my abuser move back home because they believed he had changed. So I left, cut all contact, and built a life they'll only see through headlines. I'm a 25-year-old woman, and if there's one label I've carried my whole life, it's easy. It might sound harmless or even complimentary, but in my family, easy meant invisible. It meant I didn't make waves, didn't speak up when things were unfair, and didn't react when I was hurt. I was expected to remain quiet, low maintenance, and forgiving. My older brother Connor was the exact opposite. He was chaos wrapped in charm. One day he'd punch a hole in the wall. The next he'd talk his way out of it. He could be cruel, physically and emotionally. But my parents always found an excuse. He's going through a phase. Boys will be boys. Or he has a lot of emotions he doesn't know how to express. Meanwhile, my quiet suffering was unacceptable. If Connor ruined something of mine, I had to share. If he snapped at me, I had to watch my tone. If he failed a class, they got him a tutor. When I succeeded, I got a nod at best. No praise, no acknowledgement, just the expectation to keep performing quietly. Be the bigger person was their mantra, repeated every time Connor lost control. I started to believe that perhaps hurting in silence was love, maintaining peace by swallowing my pain. But deep inside, I always knew it wasn't right. That quiet whisper inside eventually became a scream, but not before things got much worse. The first time Connor hurt me physically, I was 11. We were fighting over the TV remote, a normal sibling squabble, but he grabbed me by the hair and yanked me off the couch so hard my head hit the floor. When I ran to my mom crying, holding the back of my skull, she sighed and said, "Don't antagonize him, sweetheart. You know how he gets." That became the template. My pain didn't count when it came from Connor. By high school, the abuse escalated. It wasn't just physical. It was psychological. He read my diary and mocked my insecurities at the dinner table. He stole my phone and sent cruel messages to my friends pretending to be me, which destroyed friendships. When I tried to stand up to him, he slammed me into a closet door so hard it cracked. I thought finally my parents would believe me, but Connor cried, spun a story about self-defense, and my parents sided with him. I went to bed that night with an ice pack on my shoulder and a knot growing in my stomach. It wasn't just that my brother was hurting me. It was that my parents kept handing him the knife while asking me not to bleed. At 17, Connor put a knife to my throat. It started with something petty. He stole $20 from my wallet. I calmly asked for it back. He laughed, grabbed my wrist, slammed me against the fridge, and when my head hit the handle, he pressed a steak knife to my jaw. The terror was immediate and real. My scream brought the police before my parents arrived. Connor was arrested on the front lawn, handcuffed in view of the neighborhood. It sat on the porch, trembling, but the real betrayal came later. My parents bailed him out that same night. No tears, no comfort. Just my mom's angry voice saying I didn't need to involve the police. That night I began packing a bag. If no one was going to protect me, I would protect myself. 3 months later, on my 18th birthday, and right after graduation, I left. No long goodbyes, no family dinner, just a note on the kitchen table. Don't call me. I'm done. I emptied my savings, packed a duffel bag, and took a bus to college, 2 states away. Distance mattered more than choice. The first night in my dorm, I slept without flinching at every floorboard creak. No yelling, no slamming doors, no knives within reach, just silence. I didn't share my story. I wore a mask of normalcy so well, I almost believed it myself. I worked 2 part-time jobs to cover what scholarships didn't, and I called exhaustion my progress. Therapy helped eventually, but healing wasn't linear. I'd break down in supermarket aisles, panic at sudden noises, and double-check locks at night. My parents texted occasionally, "We miss you. Come home for Thanksgiving." Connor was doing better. I never replied. What they called improvement. It called forgetting. They wanted to erase the past as if nothing had happened, but I couldn't forget the cold steel against my jaw or the silence when I needed them most. I stayed away until they gave me a reason to break that silence, shattering it all over again. It was an email from my mom. Connor wants to reconnect. I stared at it for 10 minutes before opening it. She wrote that Connor had found faith, been sober for over a year, and volunteered with youth. He had changed, she said, and they invited him back home. They framed it as a chance for the family to heal. No apology, no acknowledgement of the trauma, just a smiley face and a photo of them hugging. I couldn't sleep that night. I imagined him in my old bedroom, at my old table, walking through halls where I'd bled and hid. They were letting my abuser move back in, rewriting history in real time, and expected me to be grateful. Rage boiled over. I called them. "Sweetheart, what a surprise," my dad said. I skipped pleasantries. "You're letting Connor move back in?" There was a pause. My mom took over. "He's changed. You should see him. We've all made mistakes. You can't hold on to the past forever." I couldn't breathe. I didn't make a mistake. I was attacked, traumatized, and repeatedly ignored. They called it rebuilding, as if the past could be paved over neatly, like a driveway. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just realized that sometimes protecting yourself means leaving permanently, and that some family choices are unforgivable. I said clearly, "If you let him back in that house, you'll never hear from me again." My mom whispered, "Don't be dramatic. You're better than this." No, I wasn't better. I was done. Hanging up, my hands shook, not from fear, but from clarity. A week later, I got a DM on Instagram. The username made my skin crawl. It was Connor. My thumb hovered over the screen. I told myself not to open it, but curiosity or fear won. The message was short. "Hey, no hard feelings. We were just dumb kids. I'm in a better place now. Let's talk sometime. Coffee." I froze. Rage, not sadness, filled me. He wasn't a child when he threatened me with a knife or broke my ribs. I wasn't a willing participant in some teenage feud. I didn't reply. I went private, blocked him, deleted LinkedIn, scrubbed traces of my location and work. Something about that message clarified everything. He hadn't changed. He'd only refined his manipulation. If my parents welcomed him back, I needed to stop surviving and start building my own path. After that, something shifted quietly in me. I didn't post rants or scream. I erased myself. I changed my phone number, deleted old email accounts, moved out without telling anyone, except a close friend, and legally changed part of my name. Nothing drastic, just enough to make me untraceable. I stopped checking their socials, stopped imagining reconciliation, stopped hoping for apologies. It wasn't spite, it was survival. My therapist called it strategic no contact. I called it breathing. I got a new job in a city I'd never visited. Freelance design work for a startup, remote and untethered. I left no digital footprints. Every step away from them made me stronger. Doubts came, nights wondering if I was cruel or the villain. But then I remembered the antiseptic smell in the ER, the knife, the silence. I wasn't cruel. I was choosing myself. In a small apartment above a coffee shop, I promised myself the only version of me they'd ever see again would be on their screens. I didn't rebuild out of hope, out of rage. I enrolled in night courses, branding, digital design, marketing strategy. I worked 10-hour days, studied until dawn, accepted gigs no one wanted. Slowly, it changed. A sustainability startup praised my work, leading to more clients and income. At 24, I registered my own digital consultancy. By 25, I had employees and recognition in a design magazine. Quiet had become my superpower. I never reached out to my parents. I didn't unblock them. Every thought of sending a postcard or text brought images of Connor in their home. My mom hugging him, my dad shaking his hand. No, I was building something else, not revenge, but purpose. At my first speaking event for 500 industry leaders, I saw them in the third row, dead center. My stomach dropped, but I gave the speech every word, every anecdote about building identity from rejection. People laughed and cried. My eyes never met theirs. Afterward, a staff member handed me an envelope. "We're proud of you. Let's put the past behind us. Love, Mom and Dad." No apology, no acknowledgement. I cried on the curb, not because they showed up, but because they still thought the story was about them. 3 weeks later, I submitted an article titled "Success is Not Forgiveness." I didn't name names or recount the abuse, but I revealed the toll of being expected to forgive without accountability. The piece went viral. Thousands shared similar stories. One comment stood out: "You don't owe anyone access to the healed version of you they refuse to help build." I realized then I didn't need their apology or acknowledgement. I let go of the thread tethering me to their approval. 6 months later, I rang the opening bell at NASDAQ. Just me, standing in a tailored white suit, my company going public. Cameras clicked, reporters shouted, confetti dropped. The roses on the podium were from my team, not them. For the first time, I inhaled freedom without guilt. They saw it. I know they did. My parents paused the screen, whispered about how grown up I looked, how they always knew I'd achieve big things. But they didn't know me. They didn't see the girl who survived, who built herself from silence. Now the only version of me they'd ever see was on screens, in magazines, in articles beyond their reach. I didn't slam the door. They simply couldn't follow. And the silence I gave them now wasn't fear. It was freedom.